As we glided through the Tuscan countryside up to Florence from Rome, I couldn't ignore the irony that the bullet train was hurling me at blinding speeds towards a city best experienced slowly. Florence. It's a walking city, where iconic human history is so close, you can reach out and touch it. We hit town in the sweltering, sleepy time of the late afternoon, when most people are either in the last group inside an air-conditioned museum, or home resting up for stepping out into the lively streets for dinner and a gelato in the balmy summer evening. We could hear our voices echo off the walls of the narrow palazzos and apartment buildings of Borgo Pinti, a beautiful street far enough from the commotion of the center to feel like it's local, but close enough to walk there in 10 minutes. There was a Tabacchi a few doors down the street, so we grabbed a cafe to fuel us up for the evening. A Tabacchi is an essential part of daily life in Italy, where you can do everything from pay your gas bill to grab a sandwich or pastry, and of course, a cafe.
This is a really very cool sort of traditional espresso bar. I see alcohol up there on the shelves. It's like kind of like a bodega feel. Really cool. Ooh.
Don't leave Florence without sipping a cafe at a Tabacchi. We hit the streets looking for a simple place with a lively vibe where we could enjoy local Tuscan food and found Accadi, just 3 doors down from our apartment. I love this neighborhood. There are for sure more popular and famous places to go. After all, this is one of the great food cities in the world. But if you're looking for savory, simple Florentine dishes served in a traditional setting, Accadi is perfect. I ordered the gnocchi and watched the chef make it fresh before my eyes. Now this is il dolce vita.
Gnocchi, one of my favorite Italian dishes.
Words can't describe the pleasure of experiencing fresh pasta.
This is like a dream come true. This is so good.
After dinner, we took a stroll down to the Ponte Vecchio, a bucket list icon of mine. It means the old bridge, and dating to the year 1345, it's deserving of the name. It spans the narrowest part of the River Arno, and there's been a bridge on this spot for more than 1,000 years. The Ponte Vecchio serves as both a river crossing and a marketplace, but on this balmy summer night, it was a party Florentine style. Italians know how to enjoy life, and nowhere is that more apparent than the Ponte Vecchio on a Sunday night in August. The next day was all about seeking out the history that Florence has to offer. Full disclosure, I enjoy museums when I travel, but they aren't my main focus. I'd rather walk the streets and piazzas like the Piazza Della Signora. This is the town square, where the citizens, and yes, the tourists, gather to celebrate and bask in the glow of history. It dates to the 14th century, and its famous Fountain of Neptune has been cooling the air here for nearly 500 years. The Loggia dei Lanzi is here. It's a free outdoor gallery where you'll find many beautiful and significant works that range as far back as the Roman Empire nearly 2,000 years ago to as recently as 1865. And also free is the stunning entrance to the Uffizi Gallery. Enjoy the shade here and check out a sculpture I got a real kick out of. Francesco Visoli's La Pieta, featuring a Florentine lion with a 2nd century Roman's head firmly in its mouth. This is the ultimate trolling in the battle of North versus South. But there's at least one must-see museum exhibit in Florence, Michelangelo's David. When you first catch sight of him at the end of the hallway, it stops you in your tracks. I hadn't thought about what it would feel like to first lay eyes on this 16th century masterpiece and had to take a moment to prepare myself. It's stunningly perfect, yet at the same time, stunningly human in its imperfections. He was carved from a single block of Carrara marble that was rejected by several other sculptors, including Leonardo da Vinci. By the late afternoon, we were ready for some exercise. Now, most people come here planning to climb the steps of the Duomo, but this being the road less traveled, we opted to climb the stairs of Giotto's Campanile instead. There was virtually no line, and we were able to score same-day tickets. Unheard of if one chooses to spend hours queuing up in the blistering heat to climb the Duomo. This freestanding bell tower has 414 steps, just a few less than the Duomo, and reaches nearly 300 feet tall. So the journey of 414 steps begins. Just gotta keep your head down and grind. From this height, we were able to gaze over at the beautiful tile roof of the Duomo and admire its profile in a way that those across from us wouldn't be able to. Up here where the birds hover over 1,000-year-old red tile roofs, you gain a perspective of Florence that to an ancient Florentine must have been like soaring in an airplane. Another night of exploring the streets in our neighborhood led us to Trattoria Palatino, another great local spot offering Florentine cuisine and, of course, the ubiquitous Aperol Spritz. Italy has its fair share of iconic buildings, and near the top of that list is Il Duomo di Firenze, also known as Santa Maria del Fiore, Saint Mary of the Flower. I got down there bright and early in the morning to stand in the shorter line to go inside the cathedral. Once the doors opened, it only took about 10 minutes to get in. This basilica is huge, the third largest in all of Italy. You could easily fit a soccer pitch onto the floor. It's a Gothic interior with beautiful stained glass windows from some of the greatest artists in history. I craned my neck to gaze up at the 16th century frescoes on the ceiling and began to feel a little dizzy.
It looks like you can reach out and touch it. There's no sense that it's as far away as it actually is. Really amazing.
I'm a gelato kind of guy, and I would never say it's too early to enjoy a morning scoop. So we made it breakfast appropriate by going to the Lindt chocolate shop across from the Duomo and having their espresso special. A gelato with a hot shot of cafe.
Definitely on my Florence must list now.
For a more traditional gelato experience, I recommend La Cattedrale in the shadow of the Duomo. You can actually see the gelato being made here.
This is awesome. It's like the science of gelato.
The sheer quality of this gelato make La Cattedrale a must for anyone with a love of the creamy stuff.
Okay, there's a lot of gelato in Italy, but there's not a lot of gelato in Italy that's as good as La Cattedrale. This is good stuff.
On our final day of exploring the city, we paid a visit to the Great Synagogue of Florence, in a quiet section of town near the Ambrogio Market. Completed in 1882, when Jews in Tuscany were granted their status as free citizens, it's also referred to as the New Israelite Temple. It's a beautiful example of Moorish revival architecture, and those accents are clearly visible throughout the temple. The Germans tried unsuccessfully to blow it up before being forced out of the city in 1944, and a good thing, because its beautiful jade-colored dome lends a bejeweled effect to the ancient Florence skyline. The Jewish community in Florence is 1,400 strong, and one of the oldest in Europe. And although this is an Orthodox temple, it's a symbol of freedom for the entire Jewish community here. There's a really interesting small museum displaying artifacts and clothing that highlight Jewish culture in the community through the centuries. The Great Synagogue is located in a historically Jewish neighborhood that hasn't always been so.
Under the protection of the Medici family, the Jews were allowed to live relatively free lives and conduct business and live among the community. Eventually, by the late 1500s, they were segregated and moved across the river to a neighborhood they called the ghetto.
Don't leave Florence without hitting the best market in town, the Mercato di Sant'Ambrogio. Opened in 1873, with roots that reach back to the Middle Ages, it's the oldest market in Florence. There are other larger markets in the city, but what makes this one unique? It's where the residents and chefs come to make their fresh produce buys for the day, so it's got a much more local feel to it. It's also where food lovers come to experience Florentine cuisine in the most authentic of settings. Farmers, butchers, cheese, and fishmongers are all here offering what's fresh and seasonal. I like to have fruit, bread, and cheese readily available while I'm traveling, and Sant'Ambrogio is exactly the type of place I like to find it.
We have a little bit of a road trip planned for today, so we're hitting the market to get some fresh produce and some other easy road nibbles.
Mercato di Sant'Ambrogio is open Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 2, and bring cash because not all the sellers accept cards.
How are you? Are you okay?
Come stai?
Va bene, bene, bene.